Hi again then guys, and welcome to another special projects custom build on GT6, and keeping in the theme of the Ferrari week, as it kind of is, an unofficial one. We built before, of course, the Enzo GT3, but now we're going in a decidedly more realistic way. This is a tune that's been requested a few times, a very popular car, the Ferrari 458, and this particular build is imitating real life, but isn't necessarily a replica of any particular real vehicle. And basically it's a GT3 racing build for the Ferrari 458 Italia. So as far as the visuals, I've opted to fit the carbon chin splitter body kit. I've also fitted the optional special rear wing, the larger of the two, and as far as the colours on the rims etc., which are incidentally BBS REMGs, I've actually opted for basically the same colour kit as on the Enzo GTC build. So the colour is called Rouge Lucifer. It's a pearlescent red, really good looking red, which comes from the Citroën dealership. And as far as the rims, I've opted for the glitched black paint from the Peugeot Vision GT car. So of course there's loads of variation. You could change the colour, you could change the wing, you could change the rims. So just build it as you see necessary. This is just what I've happened to go for. So of course we'll go first of all to the mechanical setup, and then as we always do, take it out to a racetrack to see if this vehicle can actually cut it as a race car. Now, as far as the particular tune setup on this model, there are some parameters that you work to most of the time, around 1350 kilos, roughly 600 horsepower, and if possible, a usable PP level, be it somewhere usually between 550 and say 600. Any lower than that, and well, you're just not going to get that for that horsepower, and any higher, and you're going to start to get up into much bigger race car territory, even GT1s or prototype machines. So you want to keep it in the sweet spot where the car can actually be useful. Now I've gone for racing hard tyres, and for the particular suspension setup on this model, I've chosen to level out the ride height because the 458, like the Enzo that we tuned before, naturally sits with the back end very low. So I've counteracted that by increasing the rear to 90 in comparison to the 75 on the front. Springs have increased to 1150 and 1725, dampers to 5, anti-roll I've left on 3 with neutral camber and toe. We'll come back to the gearbox in just a second. As far as the diff, and again, like the Enzo, this won't work for everyone. I personally like my cars, especially track cars, to have very stiff steering. I prefer to have a car that's heavier through corners rather than one which is constantly trying to drift. Other people do like that. So again, if it doesn't work for you, just change the settings around. I've gone for the lowest initial torque, as you can see, the highest acceleration and braking, but of course, feel free to change those around to suit you personally, as with any of the rest of the settings that I've got. As far as power, you've got a couple of options, because you don't need to, strictly speaking, fit all of the parts that I have. You can get this to around 575 pp with around 600 horsepower without fitting all of these upgrades. You can basically just do the stage 3 engine tune and an oil change. The reason why I like to put a few more things on there is because that actually makes the power lower for that same pp, which doesn't sound like a good idea, but the reason why I do that as well is because it actually increases your red line by fitting these extra parts. And you can see that at the bottom left of the screen it's almost 10,000 RPM, whereas without those parts it wouldn't be, and also more significantly it gives you more torque even with the power limiter. So it depends. If you want those advantages for the potential payoff of having a slightly lower peak power level, as I said, it depends what you want, depends how much you want to pay out. Now as far as the weight, I've opted to do the full weight loss package and then add 133 kilos of ballast to bring us up to that roughly GT3 spec weight. I've put that all the way to the front to improve the weight distribution with the full downforce on that special wing. And finally for the gearbox, because of course this is not a top-end car at all, I've gone for an auto setting of 180 with individual gears of 3.6, 2.5, 1.9, 1525, 1250, 1050 and 900 with a final drive of 4.2. So relatively close ratios, quite an even looking gearbox. It doesn't really do anything that you don't expect it to. Of course, it's not a straight line machine, you want it to get through those gears efficiently for track use. So that's it for the build. What about around the track? Well, let's find out. Now, as I mentioned just now, this car's handling, probably even more so in fact than with the Enzo GTC, will not be for everyone. Some people will not like the handling on this car with this particular setup, and that's why, as always, I would recommend changing it. Make every tune unique, adapt it to your own driving style, your own needs, your own track use, your own PP level, etc. For me personally, it works perfectly, but for other people it definitely won't. This is possibly a little more stiffer and heavier through corners than the Enzo, so as I said, it definitely won't be for everyone. Overall though, it's quick, and although it won't necessarily beat actual GT3 cars, it's definitely a close representation of a racing machine as far as road vehicles go, and it can give plenty of other road cars a great run for their money. So if you do decide to use this build, obviously I hope you find it fun and potentially competitive as well at maybe the 575 PP level, and if you'd like to of course keep up with other tunes like this on the channel as soon as they're released, you can subscribe down below, or if you are new to the channel and would like to see other builds like this, and we have done hundreds of them, then you can check out those in the playlists at the end of this video. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.